Hello and welcome to the instructional webinar for the Division of Boating and Waterways, DBW, its online grant application system, Olga. My name is Deborah Holmes, manager in the Grants and Loans Unit, and with me is Amy Rigby, grant project manager and Olga expert. Today, we will provide a general overview on using the Olga system to submit your grant applications to DBW. Various other California State Parks grant programs also accept applications through Olga, but this presentation will focus mainly on the programs offered by the DBW Grants and Loans Unit. This list on the screen indicates all of the grant opportunities managed within the Grants and Loans Unit that now offer applications in Olga. Applications for marina loans can also be submitted through Olga. The instructions we covered today for using Olga will be an overview of the system that is applicable to each of these different funding opportunities. Our first section is going to be covering how to get started in Olga. We're going to show you how to validate your workstation, how to register your agency, create your user profile, and then log into Olga. Your first step is accessing Olga. You will access Olga from the DBW homepage located at dbw.parks.ca.gov. Once on the DBW homepage, you want to scroll over to the right and click on the Grants and Loans tab. And then from the Grants and Loans tab, scroll down. On the right-hand side, you're going to see a link that says Online Grant Application, Olga. Click this link, and you are now on the Olga homepage. So the first step we want to cover is how to validate your workstation. You will click on the Validate Workstation link to the left of the Olga homepage. Once the screen pops up, you will go down and click the Validate button in the lower middle section of this page. You should now see 3 green checked boxes for JavaScript, pop-ups, and support browser enabled. If so, you are ready to proceed to the next step. If you have a red line in the pop-ups enabled box, the most common problem is that your computer has pop-ups blocked. You will need to unblock these to use Olga. If you are unsure of how to do this, your IT department can assist you. Please note also, there is a list here of the supported browsers. If you need to update to the most current version, click on the link of the browser you use and follow the steps. Also, we want to point out that Olga uses PDFs for documents. If your computer needs Adobe Acrobat Reader, you scroll down, you will see that we've provided a link to download the free Adobe Acrobat Reader software. Okay, once you've completed all these steps, your next task is to check to see if your agency is registered, and if not, to proceed with registering it. To do this, you go back over to the Olga menu on the left and select Register Your Agency and click the link. Okay, first of all, you'll want to check to see if your agency is already registered. Up in the top hand right, you'll see a little tiny menu labeled Check if Agency is already registered. Click the menu and a pop-up screen will appear. We're going to give you 2 different methods that you can use to search for your agency. And I just want to point out that this is a method, these methods are applicable for searching at any time you're in Olga. The first one is the short method. You'll leave the federal ID box blank, and in the description field, type what Olga uses as a wildcard symbol identifier, the %sign. Once you have the %sign, you'll want to put in your agency name and then end with another wildcard symbol, the %sign. Here, we're going to use the example orange, and we want to demonstrate why if you use less words in your search term, you're going to get better results. Go ahead and click on the lookup button. You'll see here that Olga has located every agency whose name has the word orange in it. If you make your search too specific and Olga can't find something to recognize, you might not get good results. So this is the first method, the short method. The second method is the long method, where you will simply just scroll through these pages in this pop-up window. Using that little arrow, you can see there's 11 pages of agency names, and you can just simply search for your agency. If your agency name does appear, it is already registered and you do not need to select anything. You will simply close the window and skip to creating a user profile, which we will cover in just a minute. If your agency name does not appear, then close the window and follow the next steps for registering your agency. You're on the grantee agency page, and you will want to complete all the fields that are marked with asterisks. This is something else that you will find is a similar function throughout Olga. On every page, the required information fields are indicated with asterisks. So for this page here, you'll want to start off by putting in your federal ID number. Your federal ID number is your FEIN, and if you don't know it, please check with your accounting staff. In the box next to the federal ID, it's unlabeled, but this is where you will type the full name of your agency. Once you've completed those, go on down to the section and complete the contact information with your name and other information. When you get to the field labeled agency type, click the lookup box and select your appropriate type by checking the small box to the left of your selection. It's important to note some of our grant opportunities are only available to specific agency types. If your agency is not qualified to apply for a certain grant, you will not be able to access the application for that grant. Okay, we're going to go on and let you know it is also important in Olga to complete each section from top to bottom. There are fields in Olga that have restrictions and will not allow you to enter data in them if a prior required field is still unpopulated. We're going to show you an example here. If you have left the state field blank and you go down and skip to the county section, you will not have any information when you click the county box. The reason is Olga does not populate anything here until you've entered your state. So you'll go back, choose your state, then in the county section, you see it'll now provide you all the counties that are located in that state. This function is similar throughout Olga. You will want to complete the pages in order from top to bottom. Okay, the last thing we just want to point out here is that in the county section, your agency may operate in multiple counties, and it's okay to choose them all, but you will need to designate one as the primary. So whichever county your agency identifies as their primary county, make sure you select the primary box next to it. The code column self-populates, and you are done here, and you can click OK to move on. What we're going to do is click OK, and since we haven't filled out the required fields, we get this error message. Okay, so we'll hit cancel and go back out to the home page. But just note, once you've completed that page and successfully hit the OK button, your agency is registered indefinitely and you will not need to register again for future grants. Okay, the next step will be to create a user profile. Olga requires that all users have a profile. Each user must have a valid username and a password to log into Olga in order to create, view, or edit grant applications. Before attempting to create your user profile, be sure that you have registered your agency as we just covered in the previous step. Okay, for creating a user profile, you will select the Create User Profile link, the Olga menu on the left. Complete the information requested in this window, and it is a good idea to write down your login name and password and keep it somewhere you can locate it later. We're going to point out a couple of things on this page that are critical. At the designation title field, you will click the lookup menu, and here simply select a title that best fits your position. When you are at the next field labeled roll code, what's important here is that you click the lookup menu and always select the box for the grantee/grant applicant. If you select anything else in this field, you will not be able to enter information in grant applications. Then the next field that we want to point out is the parent agency lookup menu. You will use this menu to select your agency either by the wildcard method with the % signs or by scrolling through the pages. Here, you do want to choose your parent agency, click the box next to your name, and the window will close. Select your county by clicking the lookup button. And then the last thing you'll need to do is down on the right-hand side, there's the Show Security button. Click this and scroll down to provide answers to the 2 security questions. You can click the lookup menu to the right of the boxes, select a question of your choice, and then provide the answers. Answering these questions will be required if you ever need to reset your password. Once you are done and you've completed all the required fields that are labeled by an asterisk, you are ready to click the OK button, and this will return you to the home screen, where your next steps will be to log into Olga. Okay. You need to be logged into Olga to create new applications or access existing ones. From this Olga homepage, you will click the link that's labeled eGrants Olga Login. Here, enter your username and password. If you need to change or have forgotten your password, you can use these buttons labeled click on these buttons labeled change password or forgot password and follow the prompts. All right. Once you're logged into Olga, the welcome screen will appear and addresses you by name. If you wish to update your user profile, you can click on the link in the middle of the greeting dialog that states click here. We also want to point out that on this page, and scrolling to see all the information, here we've listed our grant programs that accept applications in Olga, and right next to them are the program managers and their contact information. These DBW grant program managers are your best resource if you need any technical assistance using Olga. They are listed here with their contact information, and we will repeat this at the end of the presentation, but just wanted to give you an idea of what the page looks like. It's the welcome screen, and this is where you will find them. Okay, so we are gonna move in to our new section called Start an Application. Okay, so our next section is going to cover creating and submitting a grant application. In this section, we will show you how to start a new application, select the grant program, enter information into your grant application, assign agency users so other people from your organization can work in the application, how to validate your application, to check for errors, how to find and correct the errors, and then how to save it as a PDF, review it, print it, etc., and finally, how to submit it. All right, so from here, you're here on the welcome screen, you're logged in already, and you want to start a new application. A couple of things we just want to point out. The person in your agency who originally creates a grant application becomes the project administrator in Olga. This is a role Olga assigns for the person who creates the application. The project administrator, or PA, has complete authority of the application, including the ability to allow and limit the access of other users to work in the application. All right, so from here on the welcome screen, you will now go down to the bottom of the page where you see a little tiny link that says Olga menu. You will be coming back to this Olga menu many times throughout the application process. So we just want to remind you that you will find it down at the bottom in the middle of the page. Click this link and you'll see in the middle section titled Grant Application, there's a link to start a new application. Click this link. We want to point out this will be the only time you ever use this link for each application. You can only start a new application once. Okay, you're now in this screen. Your agency name should automatically populate in the agency field. You'll want to select in the grant program field from the lookup menu the grant program you are applying for. Do this by clicking the small box to the left of the appropriate grant opportunity and select OK. You can now use the third drop-down menu at the top of the screen to select Enter Grant Application. This drop-down menu provides a shortcut for accessing several of the functions that are also available through the Olga menu. So we just want you to be familiar what's available to you up here. It's a shortcut and it'll save you time of using the little link at the bottom to go back to the Olga menu, going back and forth. Okay, when making a selection from this drop-down menu, remember you always need to click the little green Go button to the right of it in order for your screen to update. Okay, you're now on the next screen where you will select the hyperlink of the grant you wish to access. All right, once you click the little green Go button for your screen to update, you will next want to select the hyperlink of the grant you wish to access. This will open the application in edit mode for you to begin entering grant information. We want to point out just a couple of features of Olga, some functions that are consistent throughout. At any time while in the Olga application, You can use the Save button in the middle to the left. That will save the information you've entered on the current page. You can use the Save forward arrow button to save your information and move to the next page. You can also use the navigational arrows by the blue tabs to scroll through tabs, or by the show tree to scroll through pages within tabs. You'll always want to make sure you save your work before moving to another page. Also, it is very important to note, do not ever use the back arrow of your browser because Olga will kick you out. Okay, so from here, you will be moving through the tabs to complete the entry of information into Olga. Although each application has different sections, they all request information specific to that grant as indicated by the blue tabs in the middle of your screen. Also important to note, documents that pertain to each specific grant are available in the Show Documents link. Be sure you review each of the documents listed as they will provide important information that you need to know while applying and if awarded the grant. Also, the Show Tree button is a useful way to navigate through pages you've already worked on. You can simply click them here and it'll take you to them directly. Okay, so what we want to show you now is what happens if you decide you've done enough on this application for today and you log out and you want to come back tomorrow and continue working on your grant. We're going to go into the next section, which is how to enter grant application information from the Olga menu. So here we go. We're going to close out. And I guess we want to go to the home page. Yeah. Okay. So it's a new day and you want to come in and continue working on your application. After logging into Olga and getting yourself here to the welcome screen, you need to go down to the little tiny Olga menu link at the bottom of the page and click that. This is where you will not choose Start a New Application. Going forward, anytime you need to access the application and continue working on it, you will need to go from the home page, Olga menu. You now need to use the Enter Grant Application link to get in and out of your application. You will choose from the menu the one you want to work in. Today, we're going to continue our presentation with our application we already started for a dump station. So from here, you select the hyperlink. And you can, now you're in edit mode and you can continue entering and editing information in this application. You can use the index tab to quickly navigate to each section simply by clicking on the link here. The index tab also has useful information showing you the status of each page that you've worked on, giving you the opportunity in the delete column to click on the red X and delete the information on that page. Also giving you the opportunity in the files column where the paper clips are to click on documents you've uploaded as PDFs that need to be attached to your application. You can view them here. The last thing we're going to cover in a later section is the errors column. From here, you can see which of your pages have errors on them that are going to prevent you from being able to submit your application. So we will cover that, but just wanted to point out to you that your index tab is very useful. Okay, our next section, we're going to go through how you assign agency users. Olga allows your agency to have multiple users working on your application. The PA, project administrator, for each grant application will need to assign the levels of access for other Olga users within your agency. All users must have their user profile completed before they can be assigned access. So once you're logged into Olga, and from the Olga menu, the footer of the welcome screen, you will click the link that says Assign Agency Users. Click the grant program lookup box. Select the grant you wish to work in by clicking the small box next to the name and then selecting the Find button at the bottom of the page. From here, you should have a list of people in your agency that have created user profiles in Olga. If the names you're looking for do not populate, they have either 1, not created their user profile, or 2, they may have chosen the wrong agency when they registered their profile. For each user, you will click the lookup box in the column labeled Perm CD, and you want to assign a title to the user. The next step is in the box labeled APPL for applicability. You can use this field to either give the user unlimited access by leaving the box unchecked, or you can assign specific access by choosing the appropriate boxes. If you are assigning specific access, in the category box, click on the lookup menu to assign the user access to specific sections of your grant application. Some of the choices are read-only, write-only, or no access. Make your access choices and click OK at the bottom of the pop-up window. You will repeat these steps for each user who is going to work in this particular grant application. Please note that only the users designated as project administrator or authorized representative will have the ability to submit the grant. A grant writer will not be able to submit a grant. If you need to delete a user because they are no longer with your agency or not working on grants, the PA can use the red X in the delete column to simply remove the user from the list. You will do this and then click OK at the bottom of the page. If there is not a red X in the delete column, contact DBW for assistance with removal. Once you're done, click OK at the bottom of the screen to complete this section. Okay, we're now going to show you how to validate the application, checking and correcting errors. So the little menu at the bottom, you want to go back in to enter grant application, select the application you're working on. Okay, it's important to know that before an application can be submitted to DBW, it must be free of errors. There are 2 methods that allow you to check for errors. It is necessary to click the Validate button in each tab section of the application for all of the errors to populate. Validation may be done as you complete each section or when the entire application is complete. If you're validating in each tab, complete the required fields as marked by asterisks in this section, and then click on the Validate button. If there are errors, a pop-up window will open, and you can review the identified errors by clicking OK, or by closing this box and clicking on the error button in the menu. Either way, they're going to bring you to the errors. Once the pop-up window identifying the errors is open, read the error message first and then click in the small box to access it. Here you will see the missing information. The box is outlined in red. We have forgotten to put in the amount of funding we're requesting, and we're creating an error in our application. Complete the information, and then don't forget, you first want to hit the Save button. Then you want to click the Validate button so the error updates. This is how Olga refreshes. Okay. All right. When validating the application is complete, you can check this by using the Index tab. If there are any errors still remaining in your application, there will be a red X in the errors column as we showed you earlier. Remember to scroll down so you don't miss any of the fields that are below the bottom of the screen. All right, on the Index tab, the error messages should be gone. If they're not, you can return to the tabs and recheck the information you've entered, and then again, clicking on Save, clicking on Validate, and returning to the Index page. When all the errors are resolved, you are almost ready to submit your application to DBW. From the Olga welcome screen, you will want to access the grant application preview link. This is where you will be able to save your application in a PDF format, review it, print it, and/or email it to someone. This link allows you to review, print, and validate, as well as submit the application. Please note, if you find any errors while you're on this page, they are in read-only mode, and you must return to the Enter Grant Application mode to edit the errors. Okay, from this welcome screen, select the Grant Application Preview link. Choose the hyperlink of the grant you wish to review. You will notice the two little printer icons way up on the left. The first one, the left printer icon, opens the application and any documents that you have uploaded and attached to it. The one on the right opens only the application. You can click on either of these print icons to open your application as a PDF in the Adobe Acrobat and save it, review it, print it, or email it. Once open, the Adobe Acrobat icon toolbar provides you with the options of saving to your computer, printing, emailing, viewing attachments, etc. We suggest that you print a PDF of your application and review it thoroughly. Once the application is submitted to DBW, you are not able to recall it. Okay, now we're going to cover submitting the application. That's the last topic in this section. If you are ready for your application to be submitted, remember from the Olga welcome screen, should we go back? Get yourself on the Olga menu screen. Here you are in the welcome. The only place where you will find the submit button is in the grant application preview link. A lot of people forget this. Okay, once you're here, select the hyperlink for the application you wish to submit. And you can click the submit button at the bottom right of the page. If there are no errors in your application, it will now be submitted to DBW. One thing you want to note, this little box pops up and says, this action would promote the grant application to assign applications for review. Do you want to continue? This also confuses people, but is simply the confirmation message from Olga saying, are you ready to submit your application? And here, if you are, you will click OK. Once the application is submitted, Olga will acknowledge the submission and will issue a confirmation email to you, and will also issue a notice to the DBW project manager that the application has been submitted. So here we have our confirmation. We were successful. Our application has now been submitted. So in our last section, we're going to cover just a couple of things really quick. This is brief on post-submittal. After you've submitted your application, there's a way in Olga for you to monitor the email log to see if any correspondence has occurred between DBW and your agency that you may have missed. There is also a way to track your application status. We'll show you what happens when you receive your award notice and where you will go to download your grant agreement. Please note that this only applies to some of our grant programs. Not all of them will deliver award notices or upload your grant agreement into Olga. If you have applied and received a grant that does not use Olga for these functions, you will be notified by the grant program manager via a different method. Here we are on the welcome screen, and we're going to cover receiving an award notice and downloading your grant agreement. First of all, we want to show you where you can review the email log of correspondence. Click the Olga menu, and up here under email log, you can click that. If any correspondence has been generated between your agency and DBW, you will be able to review that communication here. Simply click the find button, and here you're going to see we have an email that confirms our application was submitted. Going back out to the Olga menu screen, and the link that says application status, you will want to use this to monitor the status of your application. Oh, here we see it has been submitted. Okay, so this will stay current. It'll be updated, and if you come back and click it periodically, if anything's changed in the status of your application, the screen is going to be current and let you know what that is. All right. So next, we want to go back and show you what to do if your agency receives a notice that it has been awarded a grant. Olga will send you a notification email, and there will be an award notice attached. To view this, you will want to, again, select the application status link. And from here, you select the application that you're checking on. Hit the find button. Click on the View Contract icon that will let you open the PDF of your grant agreement. And then from there, use your browser toolbar or your Adobe menu to save the grant agreement PDF file to your computer. And you will follow the instructions in your notice of award letter telling you to print it, sign it, and mail it back to us. Okay, so that basically takes you through the cycle of applying for and being awarded a grant agreement in Olga. So this concludes the overview that we wanted to provide you on applying for a grant or a loan using the Olga system. We just want to end the presentation by reminding you that your best resource for any technical assistance using Olga is the Grant Project Manager, and the Grant Project Managers are listed on the Olga home screen with their contact information. You can also acquire a copy of the transcript from this webinar on our webpage by the link to accessing Olga. This concludes our webinar. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to receiving your application for a grant or a loan. Thank you.